As we move through the new moon period, which is for this coming month, we're in the cycle of the star sign Pisces. And what that means is that Pisces is a water sign, so you're going to be finding that as you move through this coming month, this is a time where lots of tears come to the surface. We also have the Mercury retrograde. Now, there are lots of different triggers that cause us to have tears. Now, with the Mercury retrograde, it's all about communication, transportation, difficulties with technology, and some of those can be the triggers for the tears. Now, the tears in itself is all about the cleansing and purifying element. We reach elements within our own self where our body becomes so filled with so much energy that it needs to have a relief valve. So the release comes through the tears, and then we will find that all of these tiny little things can create a trigger. So, Mercury retrograde is paramount for, technology not working properly, or things getting lost on technology because they haven't backed up, frustrations due to running late, definitely a miscommunication. So with this hypersensitivity that is happening at the moment, we can misinterpret what people say, or feel like people are attacking us, or in our own self, our own internal dialogue is we are attacking our own self. And all of these things acts like a little reset button, because once we have those tears, we reset everything because we have released all of the pressure that is building within us. So this is a time to be really gentle. Now, the tears in itself are not about tears of sadness. You may feel sad at the time when you're having those tears, but it is more about all of the pressures, the expectations, life in general, that we reach that point where our whole body needs to recalibrate itself, and it does that through cleansing through the tears. Now, I've been saying to a lot of people, don't be discouraged when the tears come, or get caught up in what causes the tears in the first place. Sometimes it could be one of those crazy days where all of a sudden just nothing seems to fall into place, and that could be the catapult that actually just starts the tears in the first place. And for some people, they will experience a feeling of what I say cracks me up, because I think we can all attest to it at different times in our life, where we feel like we're having a mental breakdown because all of a sudden everything starts to piss you off. Everything is difficult, everything feels challenging, and nothing seems to feel in flow. And that in itself can create the catalyst to make the tears start, or be just one tiny little thing that just doesn't go the way that you want it to do, and all of a sudden you just burst into tears. But the lead up to that, because a lot of the times as humans we resist that, because we have a direct link to think that tears are through sadness, something is wrong. And so we resist those tears, and we feel that pressure building within us. And it's usually the smallest little thing that sets off those tears. So remember that moment where those tears come. This is the breakthrough period. In order to reach that breakthrough period, you can have components where you feel like you're having a breakdown. And that is really quite common, and that is, coming from that point of resistance and not allowing yourself to make yourself a priority. And so things start piling up to the stage where you just can't take it, and just one little thing will trigger off those tears, and you'll feel like you're having a mental breakdown. Now, it's those moments that you sort of have a bit of a giggle. Later on, it's like that hindsight element. Once you've had those tears and everything resets itself, usually a day or so afterwards, you'll feel amazing if you've had a massive release of like lots and lots of tears. What I call the ugly cry, where you've got, not only are you leaking everywhere, but you've got snot coming out your nose, and everything is just falling apart in you. And that's that breakthrough period. But it feels like we're having a mental breakdown, and that is normal, and it doesn't feel normal. Look, there is nothing pretty about that situation. You don't feel good in that moment. In fact, you usually get to the point where you just sort of like fuck everything, because you've just had a gutsful, but you can't actually clearly define anything. It'll be a moment where there is a multitude of things that are just not working for you. And all of that is happening because of needing to have this release, needing to have this moment where you just surrender and let go, and you just break down and just have the world's biggest cry. And that is what cleanses ourselves and purifies us, because we're actually, with every moment with those tears, we're actually letting go of everything. It's that moment where you just go, you know what, fuck it. I'm not going to fight anymore for anything that I want. I'm not going to have to push, shove, and make shit happen all the time. And when you get to that point, and you actually surrender all of those tears, you actually reset yourself, because you come back to that point of going, you know what, I'm choosing to make sure that I take myself as a priority. I'm going to do things that make me happy. And you start noticing all of these little collection points in your life where you find that you're not deriving as much happiness from them. And you start putting the wheels in motion of creating a new way of being and a new way of doing. And so it really is so incredibly important, because unless we are sometimes taken to these levels of having these massive tearing sessions, do we actually make some of those changes? Because a lot of the times we, justify other people's behaviors. We, let things go. Oh, next time I'll deal with it. Or, if this keeps happening, then I will do that. And so we keep prolonging things. And there reaches that boiling point where you just go, you know what, I've had enough. And you just let everything go. And in that moment, you're making that commitment to yourself where you actually fall back into your own natural state of flow, but you have a greater identity of what it is that you want. And once you have that clarity about what it is you want, it makes it so much easier to go after it. And because there's no resistance anymore. So we as humans, we're fighters. We fight for everything. We are always, wanting so much from our own self and wanting so much from other people. And this is that moment where you let go, you fall back into alignment, you fall back into flow. So this is the month, as we are in the month of the new moon of the Pisces, which is a total water element. And that is all about those cleansing periods. Now, the tears themselves are not always derived from sadness. Sometimes they're tears of joy, because once we actually move through that resistance and that breakthrough period, you do feel a massive sense of relief within your whole entire being. You feel a great sense within your mind. Things become so clear. You let go of things within your own mind, and you start to find you start to be a little bit more softer with yourself. And so this is really quite an important time, and I really wanted to come in and share this with people, because there are so many people out there experiencing these. And what can happen is that when we have these intensified emotions, we will either withdraw from people or hide from people or express it in a way of anger. And they're not conducive, because then you only have bigger problems to deal with. And especially with Mercury being retrograde, where there is about the element of communication not going right, and taking things the wrong way, or other people taking what you say the wrong way, and then always having to come in and feel like you need to justify yourself. The internal conversations you have with yourself will be really harsh, because it's coming from the anger. And so if you're experiencing heightened levels of anger, remember, anger is just a defense mechanism, because you're not allowing yourself, or you are resisting that moment to allow things to unfold, to allow those tears to come to the surface, so that you can push the reset button on recalibrating everything within yourself. So if this is something that you are experiencing, guess what? You're normal. And you know what? There is nothing greater than finding out that other people, not that it makes you feel good in the way that, like when you're going through these moments where you feel like you're having a breakdown before you actually reach that breakthrough period, you don't feel great. Everything will feel really, really shit. And I'm not saying that that is the moment where you feel great, but once you break through that resistance and allow all the tears, everything is going to become so much clearer. So just keep going along, keep working out what it is that you want, keep prevent the resistance, allow the tears to come up, but also allow people to come into your world to support you and help you through this time, rather than expressing your resistance through anger, because you know at the end of the day, words have the potential to heal or harm. So be very, very mindful when you're in that pressure cooker mindset stage, that you be mindful of the words that you say, because even though you get the potential to apologize, you know what? Some of the deepest wounds that are ever kept in someone's memory bank will be something that someone has said to you. So remember that on the flip side, that however you're expressing yourself at this point has the potential to really hurt and harm someone. And even though you may come back and apologize, you've now permanently left a scar on that person, and I'm sure that is not your intention. So be mindful of your hypersensitivity, be mindful of that pressure cooker feeling, and do things as a moment to release. Now, if you're someone that resists the tears, go and turn on a video or a movie, something that is going to, you know, set that wheels in motion where you give yourself permission to actually go and have a cry. If you're someone that's at that level where you're staying at that anger element, go and burn it off. Burn it off in a constructive way. Kick the shit out of a bag, go scream into a pillow, go for a hardcore run, do something physical to release that anger and that build-up of pressure, so that you can get down to that core level of where the tears are. But whatever you do, please, please be mindful that words have the potential to heal or harm. So please be careful with what you say in this time frame. And that's not just what you say to other people, but what you're also saying to your own self. Because remember, the best relationship you can ever have is the one that you're having with yourself. So if you're there emotionally beating yourself up and telling yourself you're crap and you're not good enough just because things aren't falling into place, you're missing the whole point of the exercise, because you're embedding in a horrible belief system that is about emotionally beating yourself up, as opposed to going, I can feel this anger, I can feel this pressure. I know that the greatest thing that I can do for myself is to allow the tears to come, and I can go and do that in a really constructive way where I'm not going to hurt or harm anyone or my own self anymore, because I'm already feeling sensitive. So please be mindful to take care and nurture yourself. Nourish yourself at this time and allow those tears to flow freely, because believe me, you will feel amazing when it is done. So take care. Please feel free to share this video. If you know of anyone that else that could be experiencing this, please feel free to tag this in this video. But otherwise, much love to you all, and I will see you again soon.